All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you and just like me. So, I'm going to be talking about Eddie Van Halen's death, the third anniversary, and something that Wolfgang said. I may have covered this before, but on the third anniversary, um, this is just, I think people need to remember stuff and not forget stuff because it's probably going to happen again. Anyway, I don't have physical product on this band as of yet, but holy crap, Batman, 5 times August. Go listen to a song called Ain't No Rock and Roll. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description of this video. This song documents the medical tyranny, the lockdowns, and also talks about who in the rock community, because it was pretty much everybody, was just parroting big pharma talking points and yelling and screaming at people who didn't want to go along with those things. You've got a lot of people backing away from these things now, like governors and stuff, who've said things like, oh, we didn't force anybody to do anything. All right, so wait till I get to this little quote here from Wolfgang Van Halen. This is mind blowing because maybe Eddie could have survived or at least lived a bit longer. So they're just talking about what happened here, and this might actually be cut and paste journalism. I'm really surprised that they actually included this one paragraph, but Wolfgang is remembering his father. It's been 3 years and I still can't believe it. No happy moment in my life goes by without a painful ache knowing I can't share it with you. I wish you were here. I love you, Pop. Now, the article goes on to say, after Eddie was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, he began flying to Germany for treatments. Eventually, the cancer spread to Eddie's spine and brain. Just a few months later, Eddie died at age 65. Now, here's the next paragraph, which is heartbreaking. The 33-year-old Wolfgang speculated to the Washington Post that his father could have flown to Germany for more radiation had the coronavirus crisis not happened, possibly prolonging his life. All right, let that sink in for a couple of seconds here. So, if you recall, right, if you were getting cancer treatments, if you were going on a regular basis for some kind of a treatment, they were shutting you down. They were saying, nope, sorry, too risky. That those cancer treatments are too risky. You can't come to the hospital right now because we're in a crisis. And, we're intubating people and giving them remdesivir, okay, which is code word for your death is near, right? Not a very effective product, but yet that's what the little emperor doctor was telling people to do. And that's a side issue. The issue here is Eddie Van Halen had tons of money, hopefully. Hopefully he didn't spend his fortune. And he should have had the best. He should have had the doctors flying to him, right? So he was flying to Germany for these treatments. And Wolfgang says the quiet part out loud. Well, if he could have gotten a few more treatments, and he's not saying it would have been cured or anything like that, but prolonging his dad's life, I think would have been a good thing, right? You want more time. Well, he was going to die anyway, Dave, so why prolong the inevitable? Okay, you say that to your family. You've got a spouse or you've got children or something, and one of them has a terminal illness. I don't know. We're living in a cruel time. We're living in a time where people are like, yeah, there's nothing you could have done about it. 3 years later, he wouldn't have made it to 3 years. There are a lot of people that end up surviving cancer a lot longer than the medical community predicted. And obviously, this spread to his spine and his brain And I'm thinking that if you had treatments, maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't have spread to his spine and his brain. Maybe they could have isolated it to just where it um, was most prevalent, which I believe was around his lungs. So on the third anniversary, there are a couple of issues. Number one, why would we not prioritize Eddie Van Halen's cancer? Why would that be something that, gee, we can't really treat right now? Too many viruses floating around out here, and people are locked down and they're scared, and the hospitals, they don't want to treat any sort of terminal problem right now because we've got the virus to deal with. I mean, that kind of logic is insane. It's insanity. Why? And so you're hearing it from Eddie's son. All right. If he could have flown to Germany, now I'm sure the Germans are like, no, I'm sorry, you can't come here right now. You can't come here. Didn't Trump like stop people from coming into the country for a while? Maybe just from China, as he always likes to say. I don't remember. But maybe the Germans just said, no, you can't come here. I mean, gee, did Eddie, I'm surprised they didn't put on Eddie's death certificate that he died from COVID, right? That would have been like adding more insult to injury. Yeah, it was COVID that did it. It wasn't cancer, it was COVID. But even in this circumstance, they had to just tell everybody it was cancer. It was terminal cancer. But imagine saying this out loud to the media, the Washington Post, and everybody just shrugs their shoulders like, well, that's too bad. We had to lock everything down. It just, it's a shame that there was some collateral damage here. Just, we did the best we could. No, you didn't do the best. You did the worst. And people need to remember this stuff. They shouldn't forget. And this is would have been, his 68th birthday, right? 68. He could have still been out there playing guitar, if he had survived and the cancer wasn't this aggressive. And we can speculate all day long about whether he would have survived longer if he had these treatments. But the fact that it's out there and that this is a part of what happened 3 years ago should scare the crap out of people. But most rock and roll commentators, this isn't their lane. They're not going to care. Well, I'm so glad they rushed that to market later on, the wonderful cure for all of this stuff. But was it 15 days to flatten the curve? That worked out so good, didn't it? It worked out so good that we're banning people from traveling to different countries to get cancer treatment. This is how you make a bad situation worse. And there's no excuse for this stuff. There isn't. So the best way you could remember Eddie Van Halen is to finally have a tribute and maybe raise money for cancer, and maybe also raise awareness that the government shouldn't be locking down its citizens. It's a really bad thing to do. And up in Canada right now, there's so much tyranny up there, and they were one of the worst, and they continue to ban people from saying things that could save someone's life. But yet they're so inverted up there that they believe the stuff that I'm saying right now is the hurtful stuff. I'm saying the stuff that's painful and should be blocked or banned or censored. Well, you can almost guarantee that this particular platform that I'm on here, they're going to throttle the content back, and they're not going to let it go out there. But if you want to do a goofy TikTok video for a minute and do some fancy editing and stuff that like hurts your brain, if you keep watching it over and over again, and it goes from one video to another, they'll let that go on all day long. But somebody like yours truly, who's trying to make a point about what the government did 3 years ago, people, number one, people don't have that kind of attention span. And number two, Dave, it's too late. Eddie's gone. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you could say. Well, Wolfgang said it. He could have been maybe here a little bit longer, and that would have meant a lot to him and Eddie's wife and anybody else who was close to Eddie Van Halen. Maybe a few more people would have stepped up and said, "Hey, Ed, I didn't like you, but let's bury the hatchet." You know, this narrative that appeared afterwards and is really out there. There are videos that a lot of people didn't like Eddie Van Halen, and here's why. This is why he's not getting a tribute, whereas the guy from the Foo Fighters has had 2 tributes. And Eddie's tribute was that Wolfie went to a Foo Fighters tribute and did a few guitar solos in honor of his dad. How does that make sense to anybody? Anyway, folks, don't forget about 5 times August. Ain't no rock and roll. You want to remember what happened and hear it in a rock and roll song? 5 times August. Check it out. Also, don't forget about Modern Retro Radio, modernretrofm.com. And the best thing you can do on this anniversary of Eddie's passing is to just listen to some Van Halen and crank it up. You know, that's about all I can recommend. It's just so tragic that there has been no tribute to Eddie Van Halen 3 years later. But again, with the circumstances that Wolfie just described and the fact that apparently Eddie was not well liked within the rock and roll world, yeah, I guess this is the new normal, and it just continues, and people are cold and callous, and hey, it's collateral damage. We lost one of the best, and we're just going to pretend it was no big deal. All right, see you soon, folks. Thanks for watching.